What happens when the things British visitors once mocked become the very comforts they dread losing? America does not win them over with grand speeches, but through 6 everyday habits that quietly reset their idea of a better life. After experiencing them, returning home no longer feels completely familiar. So what did America understand about comfort that Britain never realized its people were missing? Drive-through paradise. The first American habit many British visitors laugh at is often the one they miss before their suitcase is even fully unpacked. Back home, getting almost anything without leaving the car. From the outside, a drive-through can look like the ultimate symbol of American excess. A place where even walking 20 yards has somehow been outsourced. Then people actually live with it for a while, especially during a packed trip filled with World Cup matches, long highways, unfamiliar neighborhoods and schedules that refuse to behave, and the joke quietly changes sides.
So the other day I made a video about all the things in America that makes me feel like I'm living in the movie, you know? And I spoke about drive-through banks. And you all turned around and said, you think that's impressive? You wait. So I've wrote a list of all the different drive-throughs you can get in different states. First of all, we need them. And I've got the iPad out because it's a big job. First up on my impressive drive-through list is pharmacies. This is smart for 2 reasons. If you're ill, why are you going into a shop to get medicine? And number 2, if you've got sick kids, drive-through, amazing. Liquor stores. Maths still ain't mathing on that one. I can't figure that one out. Voting poll drive-through, so you go and place your vote through a drive-through. This one's a bit crazy. I assume this is Vegas. Wedding chapels drive-throughs. Would I like that? It's quite cool, actually. Forgot about this one, drive-through cinemas. I thought that was just more of a 90s thing, but apparently it's still quite a big thing here. I don't know if I believe this one, so you'll have to tell me if this guy was trying to pull my leg. But they said, I don't know if I can say the word, broccoli. Drive-through broccoli dispensers. Is that true? And then again, I think someone's lying about this. A funeral home drive-through. That can't be real. And then lastly, and again, I don't know if you guys are winding me up or not, but a blood donation drive-through. How would that work? Yeah, America doesn't just have drive-through fast food and all that jazz. They have all the listed I've just said. And it's blown my mind.
A reminder that America has drive-through pharmacies, guys. Like, still amazing to me.
I thought I had seen it all, tried it all. I'm at a drive-through Chipotle.
Drive-throughs in Ohio are probably the best thing ever created. Like, we just sit in our car and we drive to the store.
In Britain, daily life is usually built around a different rhythm. In central London, Manchester, or Edinburgh, people often walk to a cafe, step into a takeaway shop, or use public transport between stops. That system suits dense streets and older city layouts where space is limited and parking can feel like winning a small legal battle. American cities, however, often spread farther across the map. A short errand in Dallas, Houston, or suburban Atlanta can involve several miles of road, a stadium bag, 2 tired children, and 1 person desperately searching for coffee before anyone says something regrettable. That is where the drive-thru stops looking lazy and starts looking wonderfully practical. During a busy American day, it behaves like a helpful neighbor who never asks you to tidy the house before coming over. Coffee appears through one window, lunch through another, and sometimes even prescriptions or banking services can be handled without abandoning the driver's seat. The whole system seems to understand that people are carrying more than hunger. They may have luggage, children, elderly relatives, work calls, rain-soaked clothes, or the emotional remains of a 3-hour traffic jam. British visitors quickly discover that the appeal is not simply speed. It is the feeling that ordinary life has been designed around real human inconvenience, instead of pretending inconvenience builds character. There is something deeply American about seeing a tiring little problem and answering it with a lane, a speaker, and a cheerful voice asking whether fries should be added. The contrast becomes even sharper after a full day at a World Cup venue. Once someone has walked through security lines, climbed stadium steps, shouted through 90 minutes, and then joined a river of traffic. The ability to collect dinner without finding another parking space feels less like a luxury and more like mercy with cup holders. This is the side of America that gloomy headlines rarely capture. The country can be loud, huge, and unapologetically built for movement, yet that scale often comes with thoughtful comforts hiding in plain sight. A drive-thru may seem trivial until it saves a tired family 30 minutes, keeps a sleeping child asleep, or gives a traveler one easy moment in an unfamiliar place.
showing my husband you can run a full day of errands without having to leave the car.
Aim is what?
How convenient we've made everything in this. 2 shaken espresso.
Trying to do 2 hours where I'm not allowed to leave the car, but I can do everything.
All around.
I'm claustrophobic.
And then look, I have to put it into cute. One thing about
I'm American. I find this crazy.
are they,
Look at the tube right there.
you can call the teller.
Yeah. There it goes.
It's a soda shop. You order it with different flavors. They like boba, sugar-free vanilla, whatever is best for you.
How long we've been?
12:01 and it's 1:33, so an hour and a half.
By the time many British visitors return home, they no longer see a lane wrapped around a building. They see a tiny piece of American genius, serving convenience one paper bag at a time. One tap wins. There's a strangely British way to wash your hands that feels completely normal until an American sink quietly exposes the problem. One tap gives you water hot enough to question your fingerprints, while the other produces something that seems to have spent the night beneath an iceberg. Somewhere between them sits the temperature you actually wanted, but neither tap appears interested in helping you reach it. Many older British homes were built with separate hot and cold taps, a layout shaped by older plumbing systems and concerns about keeping stored hot water apart from the drinking water supply. That history explains the design, but it does not make the morning routine any less theatrical. You soap your hands, test the hot stream, retreat immediately, move to the cold side, then begin a tiny kitchen sink version of weather forecasting. The whole process has the energy of negotiating peace between Arizona in July and Minnesota in January. American mixer faucets take a very different approach. Turn one handle, adjust the balance, and the water arrives at a temperature chosen by the person using it, rather than by 2 pipes locked in a family feud. The pleasure sounds almost embarrassingly small, yet that is precisely why it becomes addictive. It removes a minor irritation people have tolerated for so long that they stop noticing it was an irritation at all. This is one of America's great everyday talents, taking an ordinary task and asking why it still contains unnecessary suffering. The answer is usually a lever, a button, a wider doorway, or some small piece of design that makes daily life move with less friction. No brass band announces the achievement, your hands simply stop being boiled and refrigerated before breakfast. The contrast becomes especially noticeable in older housing across cities such as London, Liverpool, and Glasgow, where traditional bathroom fixtures can still preserve the 2-tap arrangement. By comparison, a typical American bathroom sink treats warm water as the default expectation rather than a luxury requiring coordination. It is a tiny difference, but tiny differences are exactly what settle into the body. After several months, your muscles learn the easier motion. After several years, returning to separate taps feels less charmingly traditional and more like being asked to operate a sink designed by 2 people who refuse to speak to each other. The deeper appeal has little to do with plumbing alone. A mixer faucet gives the user control, and control is one of those comforts people only notice after losing it. The water can be warm enough to clean properly, cool enough to remain comfortable, and adjusted in seconds without filling the basin or performing finger gymnastics beneath competing streams. That simple choice reflects a wider American instinct to make homes serve the people living inside them. Convenience here does not always arrive as something huge or flashy. Sometimes it is one handle that remembers human beings have a preferred temperature. British visitors may arrive expecting America to feel excessive. Then a bathroom faucet offers them perfectly warm water on the first attempt, and suddenly excess begins to look suspiciously like common sense. Casual became essential. A pair of American shoes can accomplish something years of cultural debate rarely manage. It can persuade a British visitor to stop treating comfort as suspicious behavior. Slip-on Vans look almost too simple to inspire loyalty. There are no polished leather uppers, no complicated laces, and no suggestion that the wearer plans to attend a royal garden party before lunch. You slide your feet inside, walk out the door, and discover that getting dressed did not need to become a morning engineering project. That simplicity explains why American casual footwear becomes difficult to give up. The real attraction is not rebellion, skateboarding, or an attempt to look younger. It is the freedom from ceremony. People with sore knees, long commutes, active dogs, or packed travel schedules quickly understand the value of a shoe that asks almost nothing from them. No bending over in a narrow hotel room, no knot coming loose halfway across a parking lot, and no 10-minute argument with a suitcase because the formal pair refuses to fit beside everything else. British clothing culture has relaxed greatly, especially in cities such as London, Manchester, and Bristol, but traces of an older rulebook still remain. Smart shoes often carry a quiet promise that the wearer has made an effort, while trainers can sometimes suggest that the effort has been postponed. American life treats that boundary more playfully. In Los Angeles, Austin, or Portland, a clean pair of casual shoes can move from a coffee shop to an office, then to a grocery store, and an evening walk without anyone requesting a wardrobe explanation. That flexibility is what makes the habit so addictive. American casual style does not constantly ask where you are going before deciding whether your feet deserve comfort. It assumes that real life contains several destinations, unexpected errands, and at least one moment when the dog suddenly needs to go outside. The shoe adapts to the day instead of demanding that the day adapt to the shoe. There's also something deeply appealing about the way well-worn American sneakers collect memories. Scuffed fabric records sidewalks, road trips, lakeside walks, and airport terminals more honestly than a travel diary ever could. A spotless formal shoe waits for an occasion. A battered slip-on has already attended hundreds of ordinary moments, which are usually the moments people later miss most. For visitors arriving during the World Cup, this kind of footwear becomes especially persuasive. Stadium districts demand long walks, security lines test the patience of every ankle, and American cities can turn just around the corner into a distance worthy of snacks and hydration. By the third full day, fashionable discomfort begins to look less sophisticated and more like a personal misunderstanding. The genius of American casual culture is that it removes guilt from comfort. It does not insist that ease must be earned through suffering or saved for Sunday afternoon. It allows a person to dress for movement, weather, and actual human needs while still looking completely at home. Many British visitors expect to return with photographs, souvenirs, and perhaps a jersey. Instead, some return with a new standard for daily life. Shoes should serve the person wearing them, not conduct a small disciplinary program from the ground up. Once that idea settles in, shoelaces begin to feel remarkably old-fashioned. America rewrites Britain. A British traveler can return from America with the same passport, the same accent, and a suitcase full of souvenirs. Yet something far more revealing may have crossed the Atlantic with them. A sentence that suddenly sounds American. This change rarely arrives with permission. It begins with one useful word heard at a restaurant, another picked up from a hotel clerk, and a phrase repeated so often during a World Cup trip that the British alternative starts feeling unusually formal. Before long, vacation appears where holiday once stood, line competes with queue, and can I get slips naturally into an order without anyone stopping to hold a national inquiry. Britain often treats American English as though it were a cheerful guest who has stayed too long and begun rearranging the furniture. Newspapers regularly debate Americanisms, teachers notice new vocabulary, and people joke about younger generations sounding increasingly influenced by television, music, and social media from the United States. Yet the funny part is that this exchange has been happening for far longer than streaming platforms or smartphones. The word hangover, now completely ordinary in Britain, came from American English more than a century ago. Words connected with major parts of modern life followed similar routes, including radar, jazz, and rock and roll. Even hello, one of the simplest greetings in everyday English, became widely established through American usage. British speakers may resist a new expression on Monday, mock it on Tuesday, and use it without thinking by Friday. That speed tells us why American English becomes so easy to adopt. It often sounds direct, flexible, and built for movement. At a crowded fan zone in New York, a packed train platform in New Jersey, or a restaurant near a stadium in Dallas, people need language that works quickly between strangers. American speech is full of expressions that move a conversation forward without demanding ceremony, rather like a verbal drive-through where nobody needs to park before reaching the point. The attraction is emotional as well as practical. Visitors hear American phrases during moments charged with excitement, a last-minute goal, a roadside meal, a conversation with a stranger wearing the same team colors. The words become attached to memories, and memories are far more persuasive than grammar lessons. Once a phrase carries the sound of a cheering crowd or a warm welcome, replacing it with the old wording can feel like changing the soundtrack after the movie has already become a favorite. This does not make British English weaker, and it certainly does not erase the wit, rhythm, or history of the language spoken in London, Cardiff, Belfast, or Glasgow. The two forms have influenced each other for centuries. Borrowing whatever proves memorable, useful, or simply fun to say, Britain gave America an enormous linguistic inheritance, while America kept adding new rooms, bright signs, and a very large refrigerator. The World Cup makes that exchange impossible to miss because thousands of visitors are suddenly surrounded by American voices in airports, stadiums, diners, stores, and neighborhood bars. They arrive prepared to decode a foreign version of their own language, then discover that much of it feels familiar within days. The vocabulary is different enough to be interesting, but close enough to feel welcoming, which may be the perfect recipe for cultural attachment. By the time British fans fly home, America may have changed the way they order coffee, describe an apartment, or greet a stranger. They will probably keep the accent because some treasures should remain untouched. The words, however, have already found room in the luggage. Dirt gets evicted. The most revealing room in an American house is sometimes the one guests never photograph. It has no dramatic fireplace, no marble island, and no giant television glowing like Mission Control. It may contain wet shoes, dog towels, flattened boxes, and a coat that has been waiting since Tuesday to be hung properly. Yet for many British visitors, the mudroom becomes one of those quiet American ideas that follows them home and refuses to leave their thoughts. Its appeal begins with a wonderfully realistic assumption: people are messy. American homes with mudrooms do not expect rain, snow, grass, children, and pets to behave politely once they reach the door. The house simply draws a border. Outside, life may enter, but it must pause before reaching the cleaner rooms. Muddy boots stop here, damp jackets come off here, shopping bags wait here, and a dog returning from the yard can shake water around without redecorating the living room in brown polka dots. That small buffer changes the emotional rhythm of coming home. In many older terraced houses across London, Leeds, or Manchester, the front door can open directly into a hallway with limited space for coats, shoes, and everything dragged in from the weather. British homes often work hard with compact layouts because land and floor space are precious, particularly in dense urban neighborhoods. The result can be charming, efficient, and occasionally unforgiving when 3 people arrive during heavy rain carrying umbrellas that seem determined to fence with one another. A typical American suburban home has a better chance of offering extra transition space, especially in regions where snow, wet lawns, or large yards make outdoor dirt part of daily life. The mudroom turns that reality into a system. It is less glamorous than a walk-in closet, but arguably more honest. A walk-in closet displays the person you hope to be when you bought the clothes. A mudroom manages the person who has just stepped in a puddle while carrying groceries. That honesty is exactly what makes it addictive. The room does not improve life through luxury. It improves life by preventing small annoyances from spreading. One pair of muddy shoes no longer leaves a trail across the floor. Sports equipment does not have to migrate through the kitchen. Reusable bags, pet leads, and winter gloves can remain close to the exit instead of vanishing into the mysterious household dimension where matching gloves go to retire. Its usefulness also reveals something admirable about American domestic culture. Many American homes are designed around what families actually do rather than how rooms are supposed to look in a brochure. People enter through garages, carry bulk groceries, manage pets, store seasonal gear, and move repeatedly between the yard and the house. The mudroom accepts this traffic without asking anyone to pretend daily life is tidier than it really is. There is humor in the name too. British rooms often sound as though they require polished shoes and proper posture. The sitting room, drawing room, or conservatory. Americans created a room, looked directly at the problem, and called it the mudroom. No poetry, no disguise, and no committee meeting required. That blunt practicality wins people over because it offers a rare form of comfort: the freedom to arrive home imperfectly. You can be soaked, tired, carrying too much, and accompanied by a dog with suspiciously dirty paws. The house does not judge you. It simply gives the chaos somewhere to sit. After living with that kind of welcome, opening a front door straight onto a clean carpet begins to feel like entering a negotiation. You are already losing. The chair trap. American comfort sometimes arrives disguised as a wooden chair that looks as though it belongs beside a lake, beneath a magnolia tree, or outside a cabin where someone is permanently responsible for grilling burgers. Then you sit down, your body slides into the deep angled seat, and standing up immediately becomes a problem for the person you will be 10 minutes from now. That is the quiet brilliance of the Adirondack chair. Its design does something many European outdoor chairs seem almost morally opposed to doing. It allows the person sitting there to fully surrender. Traditional deck chairs commonly seen at British beaches and gardens are light, foldable, and practical to store, but they often hold the body in a position that still suggests a certain level of responsibility. You may be relaxing, yet the chair seems to believe you could be called into a meeting at any moment. The Adirondack chair has no such expectations. Its sloped seat, high back, and wide armrests gently pull the body away from the day's unfinished business. Once seated, the shoulders drop, the legs stretch forward, and the spine receives an official notice that productivity has ended. It feels less like sitting on furniture and more like being placed into airplane mode. That physical sensation explains why the chair becomes so easy to love. Comfort is usually discussed as softness, but the Adirondack offers something more valuable: permission. It gives people permission to remain outside without doing anything useful. There is no pressure to garden, exercise, or improve the property. You may simply sit with a cold drink and observe a squirrel conducting highly suspicious business near the fence. the wide armrests deserve their own appreciation. On many European garden chairs, the armrest is barely wide enough for an elbow, and perhaps half a biscuit if nobody moves suddenly. An Adirondack arm can hold a phone, a mug, a plate, sunglasses, and enough snacks to turn a quiet afternoon into a small tailgate. Some are broad enough to support a board between two chairs, which means American furniture has somehow found a way to make sitting down compatible with checkers, drinks, and light catering. That generosity of space reflects a familiar American instinct. When the country builds something for relaxation, it rarely seems embarrassed by the idea that people may want to stay a while. Porches are deep, backyards become gathering places, and outdoor chairs are designed with enough room to welcome both the body and everything the body refuses to carry. This is where British visitors begin to understand that American outdoor life is not limited to special holidays or perfectly sunny afternoons. In places such as upstate New York, Michigan, Virginia, or the Carolinas, yards and porches often become genuine living spaces. People drink morning coffee there, talk with neighbors, watch children play, sit with dogs, and remain outside long after the meal is ended. The chair supports that habit because it treats lingering as a legitimate activity rather than evidence that someone has forgotten to go indoors. Its practicality adds another layer of attraction. Unlike a folding deck chair that must be opened, adjusted, collapsed, and stored, an Adirondack chair simply waits. Rain may fall, leaves may collect, and birds may make deeply personal criticisms from above, but the chair remains ready after a quick cleaning. It has the dependable attitude of an old pickup truck, only with fewer arguments about gas mileage. Perhaps this is why British visitors become attached to it so quickly. The chair captures a version of America that gloomy headlines rarely describe. Spacious, unhurried, neighborly, and surprisingly gentle. It celebrates the radical idea that life does not always need to be optimized. Sometimes the most productive decision of the afternoon is choosing the right angle from which to watch the light change across the yard. After living with an Adirondack chair, an ordinary garden chair can feel like a waiting room seat that accidentally escaped outdoors. The American version understands the assignment much better. Sit down, stay comfortable, and let tomorrow deal with standing up. Comfort changes loyalty. The most powerful advertisement for America may be something nobody planned as an advertisement at all, an ordinary Tuesday that simply runs more smoothly than expected. British visitors often arrive carrying a picture of the United States assembled from breaking news, political arguments, and social media clips chosen precisely because they are dramatic. That picture can make America seem exhausting before the plane has even landed, yet daily life begins correcting it almost immediately. A small inconvenience disappears here, another one is handled more thoughtfully there, and within a few weeks the country starts feeling less like the frightening headline people were warned about, and more like a place that understands how tiring ordinary life can become. That is where attachment begins. People rarely fall in love with a country because every street is perfect or every system works flawlessly. They become attached when the place repeatedly gives them small moments of relief. The feeling grows when an errand takes less effort than expected, when a home seems prepared for real family life, or when public interactions feel relaxed enough that a stranger can offer help without turning the moment into a formal ceremony. Psychologists often describe habits as behaviors strengthened by repetition and reward. In everyday terms, the brain remembers what made life easier and begins expecting it again. Once comfort becomes the new normal, returning to the old routine can feel strangely frustrating, even when that routine never bothered anyone before. The standard has moved, and it rarely asks permission. This helps explain why American life can become so addictive to European visitors. The attraction is larger than one product or household feature. It comes from a cultural habit of treating convenience as something worth designing, improving, and sharing widely. Americans often see a recurring annoyance and respond with the practical confidence of someone walking into Home Depot on Saturday morning. Surely there is a tool for this, and if there is not, somebody will invent one before lunch. The contrast with cities such as London, Paris, or Amsterdam is especially interesting because European urban life offers strengths of its own. Dense neighborhoods, historic streets, and strong public transport can make daily life wonderfully walkable. America answers a different landscape with a different kind of intelligence. Larger distances, suburban homes, and car-based travel have encouraged services and spaces built around speed, storage, and personal ease. Neither model needs to insult the other. They simply reveal what each society has learned to solve well. During the 2026 World Cup, that lesson becomes personal for visitors moving between airports, stadiums, neighborhoods, and host cities. They may arrive expecting spectacle, but the strongest memory could be the kindness built into an ordinary routine. America's scale draws attention first, while its everyday warmth is often what remains afterward. That is why leaving becomes unexpectedly emotional. People are not merely saying goodbye to landmarks or matches, they're giving up a version of daily life that has started to feel natural, comfortable, and surprisingly welcoming. The media may have introduced them to an America full of arguments, Living there introduces them to another America entirely. Practical, generous, humorous, and deeply human. By the time the flight home begins boarding, the question is no longer whether they enjoyed America. The harder question is how long they can live without the way America made ordinary life feel. America rarely wins people over through headlines. It happens more quietly through a warm faucet, an easy meal, a welcoming home, or a chair that asks you to stay a little longer. These comforts seem ordinary until someone has to leave them behind. Perhaps that is America's real charm. It makes daily life feel lighter without demanding applause. Which American convenience would you miss most? Share your answer below and subscribe to join us for more honest cultural discoveries together.